everyone, it's Chrissy, the Senior Digital Editor at Bazaar, and we're here today with Toni Garrn. She's a model at the Society Management, and we're going to be talking a little bit about her career and new philanthropic projects today. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It's a nice couch.
Right. So let's start talking about how you got into modeling. How were you discovered?
It's actually almost my 10-year anniversary. It's crazy.
What?
This July, 10 years ago, I got discovered on the street. But really, I started working when I was 15, 16. So I got discovered really young. And then I came to New York when I was like 16.
Where were you discovered?
In Hamburg on the street, just walking.
Oh my God, I love that. Were you always interested in being a model?
I was officially like really 13 years old when I got asked. So no, I had no idea what it was.
Right.
I'd never seen Vogue before. I had no idea.
Not even like interested in fashion?
No. No, I thought like maybe I'll be like a hairdresser, own like a little supermarket when I'm older.
Really?
Like no job aspirations, nothing. I'm on horseback riding like every day, play tennis, dancing. I had no work in mind.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Where are some interesting places your job has taken you?
I'm so lucky. It's really been all over the place. My favorites are always those beautiful, tiny private islands. They're like in the middle of nowhere, and then, oh, let's take a picture today. Oh, let's chill. Oh, let's jet ski later. Doesn't happen that much. Nobody got jealous. But when it does happen, I do love it, and I try to add to every day's stay.
Always fun to explore new places, I'm sure. What's one of your favorite things about being a model?
Probably being super spontaneous all the time. I'm not very patient, I'm not very slow, and I think probably the job has made me that as well, that I have to be super hectic and have to be on the go and have to be able to pick up all my stuff like in an hour and be gone for 2 months.
Right.
But I do love that about it. That's never boring, never the same people, and I learn so much every day, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because it's really, the whole world, our industry is really such a mix of anybody and anything.
Totally.
Because nobody really wanted to be this. I feel like everybody just kind of fell into it in a way.
So you love when your agent just like picks up the phone and is like, hey, guess what? You got to be on a plane by tonight and go somewhere new.
And then on the way to the airport, I'm like, what friend do I have there? And I look at my phone book and I put in like Shanghai, and it'll be like some person with Shanghai as last name that I saved when I was there 5 years ago.
Oh my God, I love
that. Are you there?
That's so fun. So you have like your own little like built-in tour guide network.
That's a good thing. I do have a lot of friends everywhere now.
What's the most challenging thing about being a model?
Again, the same thing almost, the spontaneity, because I have to, I really sometimes do want to plan trips or vacations, or promise my grandma I'll be there at her 50th wedding anniversary, and all of a sudden you can't go. So it's tough sometimes. I've had to make some tough decisions and cancel some important birthdays. Right.
That's tough. So let's start talking a little bit about your philanthropy. How did you, when did you start thinking like you wanted to look into working with charities?
Really young. I think I made my first money like at 15, 16 through some campaigns in New York, and I immediately got like leaflets at home for sponsored children, and it was always girls on the cover kind of, and I thought it would be nice to immediately, I was like, sure, I make money, like these girls are like super poor. That's just like a normal thought, I guess. Why don't I get a sponsored child? So I started with Plan International, who's this really big NGO who are also very much based like right around the corner from where I was brought up. Okay. So I started with sponsored children there, and at some point I had 2, and then a few years ago, how old was I? Yeah, a few years ago, I thought I wanted to do more because I wasn't working anymore every day. I had like sometimes I had a week off, and I really wanted to do more and actually be physically active, and I was like, maybe I could go on a trip. Like I didn't even think how much money can I raise, but like what can I learn from these people, mainly girls. I was always interested in girls, and I always knew that they're really they say they're like the poorest people are the uneducated girls that need so much help. Right. So I was always very, very focused on that, and so I asked them if I could help more, and they took me on a trip to West Africa. Wow. My first trip with them. It was amazing.
And why did you choose Africa as a focus region?
First of all, you just kind of, you have to start somewhere. I mean, girls' rights are an issue, I feel like, in almost every country. I mean, of course, mainly the developing countries, but in, I just had to start somewhere, and I really, really love Africa. I fell in love with the continent, like when I shot a Chloe campaign there when I was like 16, I think, in Cape Town. And then I went back when I was like 17 because my brother moved to Cape Town and worked in a school for handicapped kids.
Okay.
And he lived there for a year, and he carried around these beautiful little kids with like sometimes no arms, no legs, and they're the happiest, most beautiful kids, and so full of so much energy and happiness. I was like, oh my God, you need to like support them somehow that they can at least, you know, learn how to read and write.
Right.
And yeah, that's when I came back and was like, plan, let's do more, let's do more. Yeah.
And tell us about what your first trip was like there and like your whole experience.
So the first trip was like 3 years ago now to West Africa, which was kind of, yeah, a really tough trip because it's like the Burkina Faso, that's where we went, is the 4th poorest country in the world, 4th or 5th right now. And yeah, the women there have, I mean, hardly any rights. I mean, hardly any girl goes to school there. And the main language is French, which is very tough for me too.
Oh, wow.
So to communicate with them and actually understand what they needed, what they wanted, how can we help them was very hard because immediately they, you know, the leaders, the group leaders, the main person to speak to in the village and the government everywhere was always a man, obviously.
Yeah.
And we were a group of like 8 women who traveled there, and we're like, okay, well, we want to speak to her, and she's hiding behind like a big cover up and. Looks like 5 times as young as her chief husband, and her husband had 6 wives, and all very like scary stuff. So yeah, I just, you know, made myself an image there, and then came back here and designed a clothing line, and we raised 125 grand and educated about 500 women to become teachers, to then get more young girls to go to school.
Right.
That was my first project in West Africa. Because, yeah, I realized lots of the young girls don't go to school simply because the mothers are scared to send them because lots of the violence has actually happened through the male teachers.
Right.
Or it's the schoolways are too far and they don't know what's going to happen once they're there. And also this secures, I mean, really makes sure that there's more jobs if you give them to female teachers. So that was my first project, and yeah, I think it went well.
Yeah.
There's a few.
You did the clothing line with Closed Denim,
yeah.
which is a German brand,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah. And
that was just last year?
That was
or 2 years ago? Okay.
Yeah. So that was my first project. But West Africa is a tough one. There's a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, Boko Haram is a whole group that's trying to fight with Western education, especially with girls. And that's exactly what we're fighting for. So it's hard to really focus on that. So then last year, I decided to go to Zimbabwe, which is, I think it was a little bit easier for me to help there because they're, just infrastructure and everything is set up to help in a way.
Okay.
And they're also, I think, the people, the culture, everyone's a bit more open and happy to get helped.
Right.
Whereas in West Africa, they're a bit more afraid. They don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
Also much more Muslim, which might be a point as well because, you know, they don't know what's actually going to happen if we put our girls into school. Will Boko Haram come and what's going to happen? Yeah. So anyway, Zimbabwe was amazing. That was last summer.
Oh, wow. So where do you stay when you go there?
I went last year. I went for almost 3 weeks, and which I wasn't quite aware of Africa being that cold in our summer. In their winter, it was freezing, and I once again have been traveling forever and ever and had no big winter jackets or big socks with me, and it was absolutely freezing because obviously there was no nice hotels with heating.
Right.
So we'd stay in these little huts, almost like the locals live.
Yeah.
And I went with my one friend and my agent, and we ended up almost sharing a bed every night because we're so cold.
Like, you need body heat.
And we put layer on layer on layer, and we just like, I put all my socks on at night, and we put all the towels on that we could find.
It's not like you can like walk into a store and like buy a
there's
parka.
Nothing. Oh my God, no, there's nothing. There's also no stores. So that was tough. Also the whole showering part was tough because we'd get like dribbles of freezing water. Like, nah, I'm not gonna shower today.
I think I'll pass on that shower.
My friend had long hair down to here. She was like, after 10 days, she's like, I need to wash my hair somehow today.
Claire wants to know what was the most surprising aspect of being there.
Zimbabwe, probably.
Yes.
Yeah. My most surprising moment with Plan was in Burkina Faso because I talked to so many young girls whose parents didn't want the girls to go to school at all. In Zimbabwe, they're very much, oh my gosh, yes, please, I want my daughter to go to school.
Yeah.
I don't want the same future for her as I had it.
They understand the importance.
They want it, whereas
education.
in Burkina Faso, it was much more tough because the whole community and everyone was so much more old school. They were worried about their group leaders, and the government wasn't really so supportive, and they didn't really know what was going to happen if we send our girls off. We need the money, we need to marry her off, or we need her to help us at home to fetch water. So I had this young 14-year-old girl tell me that she wanted to go to school. Very smart girl, Plan told me. And yeah, so she left. She came back home to visit her mom, and then she got shot by a bow and arrow by like her community, by her village. And she woke up in the hospital, and then her mom came and said, please never come back home because they will kill you. Because she wanted to study math, because she was really good at math, rather than get married off. And that happens a lot in those areas because it's simply not normal for girls to be in school.
That's really
Secondary school. A lot of girls really go to primary school and they finish when they're like 10, and then they stay at home and get ready to get married. That's kind of the norm.
Emma asked, what have you learned from the girls, and do you have a different way of thinking now?
Of course. In a way, it's funny because I started so young. I took I didn't take it for granted, but I kind of thought it was my life. Like I traveled, I worked a lot, I shot a lot. Sometimes I stayed in really nice hotels, and still I'd be like, oh, I can't find the TV switch, and this is annoying. After that, it really grounds you, and you don't think anything is too much. I love my job way more since I met all these girls. Also because I want to work more, I want to meet more people, I want to work harder, raise more money. So yeah, meeting or seeing that world didn't really make me think any less of my real life, but appreciate both worlds separately, and then for our world mainly to help them.
Yeah, and it must be so rewarding that you are in a position where you can really make a difference and impact someone's life.
Yeah, that's how I see it now too. Before I was like, hey guys, I'm not sure what I can really tell you. I shoot and I travel a lot, and they're like, okay, cool.
I know.
Just the fact that I'm not married and that I work, and since I'm so young that I have been working but I finished school at the same time, to them is like, wow, you can do the same thing. And I didn't think I would be like big of an example, or I could teach them much, because I didn't really go to college. I don't know anything about how they're gonna, fetch their water or how to explain it to them. But
I know. But
I think anybody from our world can really go there, tell their story, and they'll be inspired. Yeah. And mostly they'll be inspired to at least learn how to read and write and stand up for themselves.
What did they think about your job? Like, did they understand?
Have no idea what it was. No. I mean, some girls knew like modeling looked like a picture. Right. But if I showed them a job, like an advertising, they wouldn't really, like, where would it go? Right. They don't have TVs. They don't have cities where there's the big pictures. No. Absolutely. So they have no idea what it is. I didn't even explain it really. I was like, in Burkina Faso, I brought the jeans that we sold. I was like, you girls are all gonna get scholarship for 3 years, and then you'll be teachers. Just by me selling these jeans. And they're like, what do you mean? Why? I'm like, okay, it's gonna be complicated.
Just know you're gonna go to school.
They're like, okay, cool.
So you went on a camping trip with some teenage girls.
So that was part of the trip, yeah.
Part of your trip. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Not really camping. I mean, in a way, the whole trip people would think is like camping, because we didn't like. So the whole trip was 3 weeks, but then we took 4 days where I really stayed at the same place as 40 girls that Plan kind of, found in really, really poor areas that needed supporting, but also that could go back and then reach out to the community and then support, their school, their class, their village, to then say, oh my God, over there, those girls, they're in school and they learn and they study, we should do the same thing. So they kind of found 40 girls. And we lived together, we ate together, we played together, we did everything together for 4 days, and I lived right with them. Yeah. And it was amazing, because of course after like 1 day we were like best friends.
What were some of their interests?
Could you guys speak up a little bit too, just a little bit louder? Shout at us if you need to.
What were they? Do you have a boyfriend?
Yeah.
I mean, in a way they're like any other girls.
Yeah.
And the girls that the camp was mainly focused on. Also, my main focus is on where they usually drop out of school, which is like 12, 13. For the secondary school, for them to finish that is really important. So the girls in the camp are mainly between 14 and 18.
Right.
So of course they were like, "Do you have a boyfriend? And what do they do?" And then I was like, "Do you have a boyfriend?" And they're like, laugh. And then one girl would maybe have a phone, and they'd share the phone to text their moms what was going on in the camp. But then sometimes they would giggle about a text. I'm like, "That's not your mom texting you. Like, what's going on?"
So you've recently started your own foundation called the Toni Garrn Foundation.
Yes.
So tell us what you'll be doing with that.
So I basically set it up because, yeah, I've been traveling with them, and I saw what a need there is, but also I saw I really want to help this. I want to do this. I want to help there. I want to help this girl. And with NGOs, they're a great help, and they really help on the ground, but you're going to support a campaign that potentially goes into every single country and not exactly where you want to help.
Yeah.
And so I was really, the foundation just gives me it gives me my own kind of, base where I can donate and help exactly where I wanted to. And it's just easier for me to then actually help exactly that village and help exactly that girl.
Right.
And I can also, if I see like a poor orphanage that I really think needs help, I can try and get people on the ground to support me with that. Everything's just easier if I have my own little group now.
Right. And have that support.
Yeah.
Where do you hope your foundation will be in 5 years?
I mean, I just launched it now, and I'm just so excited that it's finally up and running. And I don't know. I want to raise as much money as possible to get as many girls to school as I can anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, right now I'm really focused on Africa because I love it, and I kind of said this thing one time that I want to visit every country in Africa and see what's up. I just love the music, the culture, and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, get girls to go to school, get girls to be inspired, and get more girls into any jobs.
So are you enlisting the help of family and any friends to also help with this initiative?
I'm getting a lot of offers already. It's really, really sweet. Everybody would love to help. Mostly my trips, they're really, I think they do seem a lot of fun for people too, because they're so mind-opening and so interesting that people would love to come. Unfortunately, I can't bring like 20 people because of course it takes a lot of logistical work, and it's not, health-wise and politically, it's not super safe everywhere. You have to plan it really well.
Yeah.
So I'd love to one day be able to take more people. Right now I'm just starting. I don't know. Yeah.
And will you donate the proceeds from the foundation into any plan specific
So right now,
projects?
So all those girls that I met at the camp, they were kind of closest to me during my whole trip. And I sat down with them one time for a few hours and said, "What exactly is it that you need?" And immediately they told me everything. Like, we don't have any school uniform, we don't have any girls' bathrooms, we need to walk 10 kilometers to go to school. I've been waking up at 4 a.m. my whole life, some girl said, because then she has to clean the house, then she has to fetch water, then she has to cook for her brothers. The brothers don't do anything usually because they just have to study, because they have to go to school. So I listened to all their needs, and they all came from 5 different schools. And so I set up my own little project of exactly where I want to support those specific girls, because now it's a personal project. Now I know them. Now I want to help exactly them.
Right.
And I lost track there. Oh yes, so exactly that project of the girls that I met is my first baby in the foundation. That's exactly what I want to help.
Right.
So it is in cooperation with Plan. They're on the ground. They're helping me facilitate all this and actually get where it has to be. But I can raise money for other organizations. I'll see what comes up.
Cool. Do you have any fundraising plans for your charity?
I did a flea market last 2 years ago, which was, I want to do it again. It was a really good idea, I think, and it was fun. I got all my girls, all my model girls, and anybody in fashion really to donate their clothes that was still nice.
Yeah.
And we raised almost 25 grand in one day.
Wow.
And I'd love to do it for maybe a week.
Yeah.
Because it's a really fun way to connect to my job.
That's definitely a flea market I would want to go to.
No, it was fun because we ended up, all the models ending up buying from each other.
Right.
I'm I've always loved that bag. I might as well spend $200 and donate $200 and finally have that bag.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I put little tags on who owns what. It was funny to see some girls flew off the rack. Yeah. No, it was fun. I'll definitely do that again. But I don't know, I have so many plans. There's so much you can do. There's so many people in our world that I know that would love to help. And
Yeah.
I think now also knowing that my donations will really be very directly donated, I'll
Right.
definitely go back if I can every year
Mhm.
to see what's going to happen. And if we raise too much, no problem. I'll find another school that needs help. You know, so it's.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be. That's also a reason why I really wanted my own foundation, because I could definitely tell everybody, don't worry, this $1 will definitely get to this girl.
Right. And before we take some more reader questions, if people out there are watching and want to help your organization, what's the best way for them to do that?
Right now, it's really donations, because we're trying to get this project together to really support those schools. So that's just on ToniGarnFoundation.org or ToniGarn.com. There's a bunch of websites, but that's the main one. And yeah, we really need donations. But I'm sure somewhere along this year we'll do some fun events where I'll need people to actually physically come and help.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot of stuff.
Cool.
And we dropped the link to the foundation in the chat.
Okay.
So now,
Everyone can go and donate right now.
fun. So reader questions?
Yes. Roger wants to know, are there any other parts of the world you plan on doing this?
All over Africa if I can right now, but I mean, girls need help everywhere. I mean, it's a huge issue. I mean, trafficking is a whole nother thing that I'm super interested in, but that's such a big topic. I'd love to get involved with that at some point. In India, all over Asia, they need help. In South America, they need a bunch of help. There's a lot of violence going on there against women. There's so much. I mean, I'm always going to be focused on women. Right now, it's girls' education in Africa. But I have no idea what I'll do in 5 years.
And he has a follow-up question. Would you ever think about going to Namibia? Because there's potential he must be in there. There's potential here as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to go there. I would love to. It's beautiful there too.
Zwefany wants to know, what would you be doing if you weren't a model right now?
Probably be backpacking and just helping with my hands and like building wells with those girls with no money in my back and not support them, but like physically be there. Because I love traveling. I've always loved people, and I'd probably be exploring and then probably end up right there helping those girls. Just with less financial support to actually build anything.
Barbara wants to know, do you have a favorite editorial you've ever shot?
Oh, that's a good question. I love
Great
that question. There's so many fun ones that I have in memory that are like so super fun to shoot, but some of my favorite pictures ever were probably my first and only Italian Vogue cover receiving my Zell, because the pictures were super natural and we had like no hair and makeup, and it was also in between New York Fashion Week and Milan, and I was super exhausted, and I was on the beach, and it was just so relaxing to just be outside and do nothing. And everything was shot with the film camera, and it was a very new way of doing it. So it's very interesting.
Paolo wants to know, how do you keep in shape?
I work out. I work out a ton and I eat a ton. That's the secret.
What's your favorite workout?
I went to Blair's boot camp this morning. When I'm in New York, I'm kind of boring. I do the classes because they're here.
Yeah.
When I travel, I usually end up in a hotel gym, which is even more boring. No, but if I can, I love to dance. I love to play tennis.
Yeah.
But I'm a big runner. I'm a big yogi. All that.
And last question, Brienne wants to know, what do you eat in a day?
What do I eat? Probably 5-6
One day.
times. Should I mention everything?
Yeah,
Yeah.
tell us what you eat.
I have
What
a
have you
lot
eaten
of.
so far today?
I have a big breakfast. I have a lot of protein bars. I don't eat meat, so I eat a ton of fish. Drink a lot of coffee. It's bad. No, I eat a lot. I eat a lot of greens, a lot of fish.
What's your favorite indulgence?
Chocolate. Oh, I didn't say that. I do eat chocolate every day too, but only the black one, because I have a milk intolerance, so I'm not allowed the milk one. But now I don't like it anymore anyway. So dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate.
For
Way to
sure.
go. All right. Thank you so much for being here today, Toni.
Thank you. This was fun. I
We
feel like I've
learned-
talked. I'm like exhausted. There's so much more I can say though.
We learned a lot, and everyone, if you're watching, go donate.
Thank you
Toni
so
Garrn's
much.
Foundation.
Thank you, and there'll be more to come.
Thank you.